What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Overlanding Now, and today what we're going to be working on is installing the Rhino-Rack Pioneer Platform with the backbone system in the Jeep Gladiator. Now, if you're new to the channel, you know that I hate doing install videos because it's so tedious and nothing ever goes as planned. And I'm sure that this is going to be the same exact way. But I was searching around on YouTube to find a video that explained the install process so I would have a better idea of what I'm getting myself into, and I couldn't find anything. So that prompted me to say, okay, I'm going to actually do it this time. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to get the camera angles. I am going to try to show you every single thing about installing this system inside your Jeep Gladiator. Now, the reason I am taking my time and going to be so meticulous is because you have to drill through the hardtop of your brand new rig. And I hate it. And I'm going to bring my wife in for this one because she is way better at attention to detail than I am. So this video is probably going to span over a couple of days. I'll try to keep it short, but I don't want to miss out or leave out any information that could be helpful for you if you're going to take this project on yourself, like I'm deciding to do. So I'm going to go downstairs. I am going to lay everything out. I'm going to start to assemble the rack. That's the easy part. Then I'm going to read the directions at least twice. I told my wife I would read the directions 2 times. So I know exactly what I'm doing, and at least I have a good understanding of what I'm getting into. So that's that. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you can come along for the adventures. And if you liked this video and it was helpful, press like. I'm gonna mess this up a little bit. I'm gonna do my best to give you guys the most high quality video possible. All right, so here goes nothing. All right, I have all my pieces laid out that I got from Rhino-Rack, and where I'm at a little bit of an advantage is I've actually put one of these together before for my wife's JL. Now, when I did that, I didn't do it exactly right. I used some wrong nuts and bolts in wrong spots, and that was just because I had never done it before and I was trying to hurry through it. But this time I'm going to take my time. So everything is laid out. Now, what I want to say is I purchased this rack from Quadratec. Quadratec had this rack on sale. I got everything, the backbone system, the low profile legs. So I have the RCL. One second. Here we go. All right. So I have the RCL locking legs, the low profile. And these are, I don't think it has a part number on here, but you can see that it's the RCL legs with the little locking mechanism on them. So now that everything is laid out, I got these from Quadratec, like I was saying, and I don't know if I finished that statement, so I apologize. But it was on sale for $1,074 with everything included. I went to Rhino-Rack to see what the comparable price would have been if I would have purchased it straight from Rhino-Rack. And it would have been $1,900 for the same exact thing. So I'm not exactly sure when you're going to see this video. It's the beginning of February now, so maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully that will still be on sale if you guys are interested in purchasing it. But like I said, I got it from Rhino-Rack, everything included, backbone system, rack, RCL, low profile legs, all of that stuff for $1,074 versus $1,900 from Rhino-Rack, and it's still $400 cheaper than I was able to get it at any other website. Okay, so I'm going to try to start putting this thing together. I'm going to move the cars around in the garage, make some more space so I have like a flat surface to put the actual rack together. I'll probably do that on the ground. I'm going to lay down a moving blanket, and I'll show you guys how I put it together. All right, so in the instructions, there is a bunch of different rack combinations, and you can see the sheet on this side too has tons of different racks, because obviously Rhino-Rack has a bunch of different racks. The one you're going to be using if you're installing it on a Gladiator is 42121BF. That is the proper set of components that you're going to need to put this together. So I was getting into step one and I already had an issue, and I called Rhino-Rack and I talked to Tyler. He was super helpful. So there's 3 packs of screws. And for step one, there's nothing on this pack that indicates what's in it. You just kind of have to know or be willing to call and figure it out. So on the first step, you're going to be using these little screws with a Phillips head on it. I don't freaking know. So that's what you're going to use for step one, and you're going to get all of these corner moldings installed into the front and rear components of the rack. So I'm going to do that. All right, step two was already done for me, and it may already be done for you as well. But what step two is, are there these little inserts that you tap into these panels. It has the instructions on here how to do it, but mine are already done. But they kind of get a little twisted in there, so what I used was an awl. I don't really know how to freaking say it. I don't know. But just take whatever this is, awl thing, and just line your holes up. Because on step three, what you're going to do is you're going to take your original piece that you insert those little plastic pieces in and tightened everything down, and you're going to put that down and you're going to screw these planks into this. Now, the planks set on top of, this piece sets on top of the planks, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to get everything kind of snugged up. I'm not really going to tighten anything down yet until I know everything is put together properly, because that's where I messed up last time. All right, so now I have got both sides completed. I'll show you here in a second what that actually looks like. But I went through and I fastened everything down. Everything's tight. There are a total of 20 bolts on the platform itself, and there's 2 for each slat. So I just went through, tightened it all down, and this thing's ready to go. So I'm gonna move on to step 4, I believe now, and I think that's connecting the corner pieces and bringing everything together, so it looks like what's on my wife's JL. All right, step 4, simple. You're taking your little elbow and then this plastic covering, you're putting it on there. You're using the same screws that we used on step 1, the ones with the little Phillips head on them, and you're screwing all these together. And this is what's going to make the elbows on the corners so everything connects. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so this next part, which is step 5, is it's not hard, it's gonna require a little bit more attention. So you have your little elbow pieces, and I'm gonna show you how these elbow pieces go onto the rack as well as the crossbar that it all connects to, because you kind of have to do it all in one motion. So I'm gonna get the first piece together, and then I'm gonna slide the other one in, and I'm gonna show you how to do that because it's a little bit tricky. All right, so you're supposed to slide this in, and at the same time, slide that side in. But on the first side, you can just put it together however you want. Push it back in the truck a little bit, and then grab your other one. Now for your other one, you have to do it pretty much at the same time. So you get it started a little bit here, so you're in the right spot. Make sure it's all lined up, and then just tap it all the way through. And then what you want to grab is 2 of the same screws that you have been using. These ones right here. I don't know if you can see that very well with the star head on it. And you're going to take them and you're going to fasten it down here. So I would be careful how hard you try to torque this. I would not use an impact. I always use power tools, but for this, I'm just going to tighten it as much as I can get it hand tight, and everything pretty much stops when it's as tight as it'll go, and you don't want to over torque anything and strip it out. And I already have this done on the other side, but you're basically completing the same process for all 4 sides when you're just getting that screw in there, and this pretty much completes the rack. All right, for this step, you're going to take your crossbars, which have these little holes in them, and you're going to slide them into your rack. This is a super easy process. You just put it in there, get it to fit, and you want to line it up with the little oval holes on either side. So for the Gladiator, it has 3 bars. Don't know if you can see it very well, but there's 3 of them, and all of them fit where the little oval holes are on the end of the rack, if that makes sense. Okay, so once you have your bars situated in the rack, you take your little, I don't know exactly what this is called, but this slides into the crossbar and you twist it so it kind of creates, it gets wedged in there, and then you screw your bolts into that little wedge. And then this is what fastens it and sucks everything together. I'm going to show you that now. So you take this in, twist it so it creates a wedge, slide it in there, and then what I have to do is hold my finger under there so that I can get it to stay. And you do not want to tighten these up all the way once you get them. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. I'm trying to. So once you have that in, I just hand tighten it, and then I move on to the other side. All right, for this next step, you're gonna take there's these little plastic pieces that come, this is M755. There's 2 sets of these plastic pieces. There's 6 that are open, and then there's 12 or 16 that are all wrapped together. You don't want the 16, you want the 6 that come together. So basically, this little plastic piece is what sits on top of the rack. You take your flathead nut and you put it up through the bottom of the rack, and it sits in there just like that. You throw your washer on top, and then you take your lock nut and you screw that on, and then you finger tighten it. You don't tighten it all the way at this stage. Now this nut has this little rectangular base, and it gets locked in the channel from underneath the rack so it doesn't spin when you're tightening it down. So I'm gonna put these on. I'm gonna show you how I put one of these on, and then you just repeat that step 6 times. Okay, so if you ordered the low profile legs, like I did, it comes with this little assembly that's in there. So what you need to do with this, because you have to change everything out because this apparently doesn't work the way it was designed. So you take that, I want to say it's like a lock nut, lock washer, and it just twists. So you take this one, the original one, off this leg. And then once you do that, you can take this bolt out. And now your bolt's out. And they supply you, oh, I did it again. Oh, so they supply you with a longer one. There's a shorter one, there's a longer one. You need the longer one. You just take the washer and the lock washer off of the original assembly, and you put it on the new bolt. Once you have that, you take your leg and the top piece, I guess if you want to call it, and you just put those together like that. And then you put the new bolt with the washer and everything connected up through the bottom. Oh, I did it again. Sorry. I hate these. I hate these kind of videos. And then you have this new piece that they provided you in the new assembly. And then you just screw that on there a little bit. And it didn't make sense to me at first, but now it does. So once you have this all connected, this slides onto the cross rail that you put in earlier, and it jams itself in there so you can tighten everything down together. I'm going to show you how I did the first one. The one's already on. I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing. And this is, you got to do this 4 times. Now, the only issue is they don't tell you exactly where they need to be to fit the feet once you drill into the hardtop and you get the backbone system connected. It doesn't tell you exactly where it needs to be. So I'm leaving them a little bit loose. That way I can bump them around once those feet are in place, and I'll be able to just maneuver it a little bit so I can get everything to fit. Now that you have the one side on, you just go over to the other side and do the same process for the other side, and then all of your feet will be attached, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to be it. Alright, so the last and final piece of this portion is taking these little provided plastic pieces, and basically these little plastic pieces sit directly onto the rack, and it has little notches that grab the aluminum, and then it sucks everything together. I think there's, I want to say 16 of these. The nuts and bolts are in there, and you just put it on there, tighten everything down. I'm going to run through this real quick, and then I'm pretty sure that's everything for the rack assembly portion. Alright, so I'm pretty much finished with everything tonight. I'm going to get these all buttoned up, get everything fastened down and tightened up. And one last thing, on these bolts that you use for the top plastic pieces to hold the aluminum down, they have like a security pin in them. So you need to use this Allen key, but you might want to keep this. It might be useful if you need to take this thing apart or something happens and it breaks. You need to, I don't know, just when I start seeing this kind of stuff, it stresses me out. So I'm gonna finish this up for tonight, take in my directions, unbox the backbone system so I can get a look at it, read my directions tonight, and tomorrow we're gonna start drilling through this bad boy. We're back, day 2. Brought my wife with me this time so I don't destroy anything. We already got the one side on, and I wanted to get the one side on so I could show you exactly how to do it and I could get through all the mess ups. And quite honestly, the install for this is much easier than you think it is. It's just traumatizing because you have to drill through the hardtop. But other than drilling through the hardtop, this is probably one of the easiest things I've ever installed. And I'm actually shocked I'm saying that. So I'm gonna show you all the tools that you're gonna need to get this done, and then we'll go through step by step. And at the end, I'm gonna show you a couple of mistakes that I made on the one side, the driver's side, so you don't make them. They're not huge mistakes, but they could have been avoided had I just been a little bit more cautious. Okay, so you're gonna need your blue painter's tape. We're gonna call this a monkey wrench, but it's an adjustable wrench. A small socket, and I have a 10mm small wrench, 10mm socket, a half inch extension, and I'm using a 3/8 adapter. I have a T25. I have a T45 to take the hard top bolts out. I have this little twisty extension thing, trying to get those bolts off with. The other one was a little difficult. 1/4 inch bit, 5/16, 1/2 inch bit. I'm using just regular black window, door, and siding caulk. I think that's plenty. If it can keep water out of windows and doors, it should be fine for this. Then I have my impact and my regular hammer drill. Okay, so we put, right here is 11 3/16. You put your tape on, and then back here you put your tape on 7 7/8. And the 11 3/16 comes off this little notch, this little break in between the two hard tops. And then back here, you bring it all the way to the end where the hard top meets the other portion of the hard top. All right, you're gonna take this one off with your Torx 45. Then you're gonna take this one off up here. All right, so when you go to put this piece on, your little screwdriver has a 6.5 on it. This is the piece that Rhino-Rack gives you. What you do is you take this, you set it in the rain gutter until that first notch. Put it in there, set this piece on top of it. Then you take your little 90-degree piece, and there's a little notch on this piece. You set it back in this crack and push it all the way forward. And what you want to do is push this back until it meets right on that corner. So that's in the little groove. Slide that back till it meets it. Make sure this piece is in. And that's how you find the spot where this back bracket is supposed to go. So now that is good, and we can move on to the next step. All right, this is where it gets a little hectic. So they have this labeled as, I believe, 4 in the instructions, and it tells you to use 20 on the instructions here. It doesn't make any sense, but this is the piece that you're supposed to use for this. And I didn't use this last time. I kind of guessed at it, but it worked out. So you just throw this on there, and once you have that there, this is a 1/4 inch bit, by the way. You just go straight in. So what I did is just make a little mark and then come here. Let me check this one more time just to be sure. Okay. Take this, make a little mark. And then what I did on the other side is I just took this off, because now I know where my holes need to be. And trying to make sure all that stuff stays aligned is kind of a pain. So then you can take this again, because you're only going through a portion of the way before you step up your bit size to 5/16. So I put that on there. All right, now the second one. Make sure I'm in my same mark. And your first 2 holes are drilled. Okay, so now you step it up to your 5/16 bit. I'm gonna move because I need my right hand for this. So on the last one, I ended up having to make these holes a little bit bigger to get the bolts to fit in there okay. I mean, I'm sure it's not a huge deal, but once you add the caulk and all that, it seals everything up. But if you don't go in directly, perfectly straight, then your inside hole is a little bit off center from your outside hole, so you have to make sure that you straighten all that out before you tighten the bolts down. So this piece here has little notches, and the back piece has little grooves, and this will slide directly into those grooves. So put this piece in first and then come back and put the back portion in. And then I'm just loosely putting these in here just so nothing falls apart. All right, so you're gonna need your extension and your Torx 25, and then there's these bolts that fasten directly into the backbone system. You're not really going to be able to see it on camera, but there's 3 of them, and they're super easy to get in as long as you have a right size extension. I just do the top and the bottom, and then I come back and finish the middle. All right, so once you have this connected to each other, those 3 bolts, you can tighten these down. And I'm not sure the exact torque spec, but I just get them on there snug, and then I come back with a wrench and do it. All right, so I put a pretty healthy amount on here just so it creates a pretty good seal. And it's gonna be a little sloppy, but I figure the more, the better in this situation. All right, so I'm gonna put these through first and try to find the holes that way. That's what I ended up having to do on the other side last time. And then just try to get those to go all the way through, because you have 2 holes you got to get through. Just through that one, just through that one. All right, so this next part's kind of not really going to be able to show you, but on the backbone piece that's on the side over here, there it comes up, and there's 2 holes where these bolts go through. These washers, oh, that is so brutal, have to go inside up against the metal, and then these nuts right here come from the opposite side of the backbone system, and it cinches everything together. So you might not be able to get these bolts all the way through, and that's what I was scared of last time. But once you get this washer on and you get your nut on, it'll suck everything together. Okay, so this part is kind of a 2-person job. So these 2 bolts have nuts that you have to fasten from the inside, and you have to use your adjustable wrench to hold it and then tighten these down. These are supposed to be tightened between 2 and 4 foot-pounds. I don't know exactly what that is. I didn't bring out my torque wrench, so I just tightened them down as tight as I felt I was comfortable with, so it didn't crack the hardtop. And then once you're done with this, and you tighten these simultaneously. So you tighten this one, then you tighten that one, then you go back and forth until they're snug. Once you get done, go inside to your backbone system and fasten the bolts back to where your hardtop meets the body of the vehicle. And this side is done, or this portion is done, and now we're gonna move up to the front. All right, so now that you have your back piece on, Rhino-Rack provides you with this piece of aluminum that is your spacer. So the spacer gets screwed with the provided screws into the middle of the front component, I don't know what it is, and the middle of the back. Tighten those down, just get them snug, and that's what gives you where this is going to, the distance that this is going to be. Now you have this little tool that they give you, and on this side there's an 11 millimeter. You take this and you slide it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you slide it in there, and this sits flush on that tool. So that's where you need to be for your holes up top. And then we're going to start drilling our holes up top and fasten everything to the inside. All right, so you're done with your 5/16 bit now. You just need, I'm sorry, your 1/4 inch bit. You need your 5/16 now. So these little tubes, they go face down with the head of them up. Put that down in there. And you want to use your 90-degree tool to try to get this the best that you can at a 90-degree angle. I know there's no way to make it perfect, but you just have to try your best. Get everything in there and go with it. And same with the front. Okay, so I'm back with a 1/2 inch. I drilled that first hole with a 5/16. You're supposed to drill it with a 1/4 inch. It's not gonna make that big of a deal. It's just the first hole, so then you could get your 1/2 inch bit down in there. So again, you're only going in about a 1/4 inch once you break through the fiberglass. Okay, now you take your little spacers, slide them down in there, go back to your 1/4 inch, actually use a 1/4 inch this time, and drill the rest of the way through. Okay, now that you have your 1/2 inch holes drilled, and then you went back with your 1/4 inch, you take this spacer off. Get it out of your way. Just move it. And you can take this off now. Remove that. Clean this little section up. Take off your tape. I mean, you don't necessarily need to use this tape, they just say to. And I did. All right. Oh, that's great. All right, set that on top. So you got a little bit of space there, and just drill through. All right, now you got your holes finally. And just like with the rear, you're gonna caulk these holes the best that you can. Be a little generous. Okay. Okay, so now you take this little piece. So this is the bracket for the front. Now, it has a nut that this screw goes into, and there's a factory hole in your roll cage that this slides up into. So it needs to sit like this on top of the roll cage. So you just have to kind of push it up there like this, slide it flat, and then put this through your roll cage hole and tighten everything down, and that's what will hold this in place when you put the top on. When the cameras come out, everything goes south because the other side, completely flawless. This side, not completely flawless. All right, so we have, once you get your top plate set over top of those holes, you want to grab the same spacers you were using to drill your holes and slide them down in like that. Just like that. Then you take your two provided bolts. That goes down. That goes down. I'm going to try to do this from outside. And hold on, I think I got it. Oh, I had it. Okay, then you just get them on there loosely for now. So you get your adjustable wrench and your T25, then you tighten these down once you get that bracket inside. This one was a little bit of a pain, but just go back and forth, tightening them simultaneously so you don't over tighten one side. All right, once you get your rack situated on top, there are little bolts that go right here, and I'm sure you probably can't see it, but they're the ones that you used to keep your spacers in there. You just tighten those down with a 10mm wrench, put your locks on, and your rack is complete. Okay, the install isn't completely finished, and quite honestly, it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. Just drilling into your hardtop is obviously extremely stressful. Without the help of my wife, this thing would be on backwards and upside down. So obviously, thanks to her, because she's way smarter than I'll ever be. Now, if you guys found this helpful, please like the video. I have documented every single step along the way, and I don't think I missed a single thing. Taking and making these videos is such a pain, and I hate doing it, but there was nothing good on YouTube that was showing you exactly how to do it, and I took you through step by step. So, like I said, if it was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.